Do you have a paranormal encounter you'd like to share with us? Send us an email with your story for a chance of it being featured on Weird World. Delve into two true and captivating stories, and that of Lisa Davis and Fiona Brown, whose near-death experiences each become gateways into a parallel universe. Such accounts shed glimpses into the nature of death and existence, offering up the prospect which some have termed quantum immortality, a phenomenon whereby one may transition into a different version of their own life upon death. Lisa's heartache. Lisa Davis was born on March 3, 1985, in a small town outside of Seattle, Washington. From birth, Lisa suffered from a rare heart condition that caused occasional rapid heart rates, which in some cases could be followed by a non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, a much milder but still potentially fatal form of a heart attack, requiring her to be hospitalized. Though she managed to live an active life into adulthood, this condition would come to transform her entire reality. In April 2016, 31-year-old Lisa was going about her early morning routine when she suddenly felt the all-too-familiar crushing pain in her chest. As she struggled to breathe, she called 911 and was taken in the ambulance towards Harborview Medical Center. During that frantic ride, Lisa felt herself slipping away and had the profound sense that she was dying. As the world faded to black, she remembered making peace with her fate. After an indeterminate amount of time, Lisa awoke in a hospital room with tubes in her arms and the sterile smell of cleaning products around her. Although she had survived yet another serious heart episode, something felt different to Lisa. It wasn't just the expected disorientation from her trauma. No, as she lay there, a strange feeling in her gut seemed to scream that something was profoundly off, as if she was trapped in the body of another person. Desperate to hear a familiar voice, Lisa asked to use a phone so she could call her boyfriend and let him know she was all right, as in the chaos of the ordeal, she had not taken her own phone with her. She only knew 3 numbers by heart, that of her dad, her sister, and her boyfriend Eric. When Lisa picked up the phone to call Eric, she felt a surge of heartwarming relief upon hearing his voice. She quickly began to speak, saying, "Hi, it's me. I just wanted to let you know I had problems with my heart again, and I'm at the hospital, but everything is fine now." She was expecting a response like, "I'll be there as soon as I can," but instead Eric replied, "Listen, I'm sorry that you're in the hospital, and it sounds like you really know me, but I have no idea who this is." Lisa, thinking he was joking, responded, "It's me, Lisa, your girlfriend. I cooked dinner for you and your daughter like 2 days ago. Come on, stop joking." But Eric, with utmost seriousness, said, "I'm married, and I don't know who you are. Please don't ever call me again," before abruptly ending the call. Lisa was in disbelief, unable to comprehend what was happening. She knew that Eric had divorced his ex-wife a few years before they met, so his words made no sense to her. Had he been dating someone else and remarried? When she arrived home, she noticed subtle changes, suggesting the life she knew was not the one she'd returned to. Items were missing or had been moved, including pictures and paintings. Deciding to seek clarity, she went onto Facebook to check her boyfriend's profile, only to find that they were no longer friends on the platform. His status also indicated that he was indeed still married to his ex-wife. The photos they had taken together were gone. She had never met Eric's daughter Beth, had never toasted 6 months together over the dinner she'd made in her apartment. And yet she knew so much about him, about his daughter, stuff she couldn't have possibly known had they not been dating. Not only this, but in their place were photos she didn't even remember taking, or even recall the occasions of. Over the next few days, Lisa slowly pieced together the differences, large and small, between her memory and reality. This is when another massive discrepancy became apparent. Her mother's death, a painful event that had defined Lisa's early 20s, had apparently occurred in 2013 rather than 2009. 4 extra years with her mum that she was not there to witness, catalogued in her Facebook photos, brought Lisa to tears. In more recent months, holidays she remembered celebrating with Eric had instead been spent alone. She also discovered changes in her wardrobe and decor, leaning towards styles she would never have usually considered. The unfathomable reality of what had happened weighed endlessly on her mind over the weeks that followed. Lisa withdrew from her friends and family as she grappled with piecing together the utter disruption of her past. Her emotional state swung rapidly from denial to anger to grief, until she could barely get out of bed in the morning. The joy and intimacy she so longed to get back seemed permanently lost to her. Lisa plunged into a deep depression. She had experienced something that no one could possibly believe, let alone understand. After about 2 months, she took a chance and signed up on Tinder, where, to her surprise, a boyfriend appeared. They matched and began dating, yet he had no recollection of her. While she carried 6 months of memories of their love and wonderful times together, he of course knew nothing of their alternate past together. Although strangely he claimed to have a sense of familiarity with her voice, without being able to place it, a faint memory of their brief conversation those months earlier perhaps. She never disclosed any of this to him, though fearing he might think she was delusional, which she admits is completely understandable, reasoning that she would likely react in exactly the same way. A surgery of the soul. It was a gut-wrenching day in January 2019 when Fiona Brown received the devastating news. After undergoing rigorous testing for persistent abdominal pain and bloating over the previous 2 months, the doctors delivered the diagnosis: ovarian cancer. Further scans showed that Fiona had a large 10-centimetre tumour on her right ovary. With Fiona's petite 22-inch waist, the grapefruit-sized growth took up over 1/3 of her abdominal cavity. Given the tumour's size and rapid development, the doctors determined surgery was urgently needed. They scheduled Fiona for the following day, hoping to remove the growth before it could spread further or release cancer cells into the system. Though only 26 years old, Fiona bravely prepared for the operation, trusting the skilled surgical team to take care of her. On January the 25th, 2019, Fiona arrived early in the morning to St Mary's Hospital for a scheduled ovarian cancer surgery. She kissed her parents goodbye as the nurse wheeled her into the operating room. Though normally a routine procedure, the chief surgeon enlisted a second surgeon to assist due to the complexity of Fiona's case. Several hours into the surgery, the surgeons experienced unexpected bleeding during the tumour removal. They worked tirelessly to stop the hemorrhage and proceeded carefully with the rest of the operation. In total, Fiona remained under anaesthesia for over 9 hours before the surgeons were able to finish the operation. While unconscious, Fiona described experiencing complete darkness and losing awareness of having a physical form. She felt herself floating calmly for what seemed like weeks in a void. Although one might expect such a state to be terrifying, strangely, Fiona recalled feeling as though she'd be content to spend eternity there. Despite Fiona having undergone anaesthesia before, this wasn't like anything close to her previous experience. When Fiona finally awoke, she was told about the surgical challenges and extended operation time. But that was not the only thing unexpected. Fiona's first glaring confrontation that something was off occurred when she was visited in her recovery room by the attending surgeons. Somehow the assistant surgeon during the operation was an entirely different person to the one she remembered going in. This sense was further escalated as she left the hospital, noticing that its interior appeared considerably different from what she remembered going in. Most concerning of all, however, was that nearly everything and everyone in Fiona's life had seemed to change. Her parents' warmth and her twin sister's ambition now suddenly seemed absent. Even her own living situation had transformed. She suddenly owned a new cat that she had no memory of, a rescue tabby called Sebastian. At first assuming it to be a neighbour's cat, she only came to realise that it was in fact hers, after scrolling through some of her old social media posts she had no memory of making. Another bizarre alteration came in Fiona's acquired bee allergy, despite her having always loved bees and having been stung before without any issues. She had even gone so far as to entertain the prospect of raising her own, and yet her family insisted that she had always been allergic to them. Even more profound was her apparent newfound aptitude in elementary school-level Chinese, which prior to surgery she had no understanding of, besides the odd word or two. She had also apparently excelled academically throughout her younger years, having entered a college early, a sharp contrast to her previously average grades. Fiona also noticed a major change in that of her loving boyfriend of over a year, Mark. Previously warm and supportive, Mark had turned controlling and emotionally abusive following her surgery. Fiona struggled to make sense of a shifted reality. She wondered if she had died on the operating table that day back in January 2019, only to awaken into a completely different parallel world, a world that was completely foreign, with relationships, places and events diverging entirely from those of her memories. She continues to long for her old life and those she has lost.